let's take an early look at the Big Ten championship game featuring number 1 and undefeated Oregon versus 11-1 Penn State. Man, I'm excited about this. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the number 1 college football show, please subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, and like this video so that you can be the first to know whenever we upload a new segment to this show. And we do this every single day because it's college football year-round over here, and it is the best damn sport in the world, and it's going to get better because we got 12-team college football playoff coming for the first time. Means that we're going to start playing postseason football almost immediately. Playoff games start December 20th. We're playing until January 20th when we're going to crown a national champion after what I expect to be a glorious tournament. And both of these teams, Oregon and Penn State, should be in this thing unless one of them absolutely positively gets blown out. But I think Oregon would be in no matter what. It's just about the seeding. Penn State, don't get blown out. Don't give anybody an opportunity to knock you out of this thing because the 12-team playoff was created in large part for you. You are the kind of team that this playoff was extended for. The kind of team that can be expected to win 9, 10, 11 games every year, but perhaps not beat Ohio State or not beat Michigan or not beat, dare I say, Oregon in a year where only 2 teams from, say, a Big Ten East or a Big Ten West can make it, and we only got 4 teams in the college football playoff. However, now that you're in the nitty-gritty, you got to take advantage of this because unlike some others, you got some help, right? Ohio State had one job: beat an unranked and unwashed Michigan, and they're getting into the Big Ten championship game in your place. Instead, they fumbled the bag, and they left an opening, and y'all ran right through it, 44-7 win against Maryland to give yourselves the best chance to win a national championship in decades. We got to take it back to like 1986, dog. And the first Big Ten championship since 2016. First appearance in the Big Ten championship since then, too. And I'm excited for you, right? Because I know of a lot of Penn Staters that really didn't think this was an offense, especially after they took the loss to Ohio State. But now you get a chance to rewrite history. Drew Aller has an opportunity to win the first big game of his career. Is he a winner? Yes, but where are his big wins? What has he done that is a signature victory? Hasn't had one. The same thing is true of Nick Singleton, a renowned high school player coming out who is banging, right? 700 yards on the ground along with Katron Allen, basically 700 yards on the ground. Those 2 dudes need huge wins. We're also talking about what I think is going to be the Mackey Award winner in Tyler Warren, who needs just, I think it's like 21 yards, maybe less, 31 yards to get to 1,000 receiving yards this year. He has been your do-everything tight end. Really great play against USC on the road to win that game in overtime. But those sorts of wins are why we sometimes doubt you, or why I have doubted you, quite frankly. I'm not sure what you're capable of because I haven't seen you go out and beat somebody that I absolutely positively respect. The game against Ohio State was the best opportunity to do that. You haven't done that, right? They got that win against you, and in part, they're going to get in the playoff because of that win against you. Now, you get to play the only team left in the entire sport that is undefeated. You can bring them down, and with the win, you can become the number 1 team in the entire country. It's right there in front of you, just 6 days away, which is remarkable, frankly. And when I look at these 2 games, or these 2 teams, I'm struck by how similar they are from a makeup standpoint. Both run the ball really well. Got a pair of tailbacks that are pretty good, right? Jordan James got over 1,100 yards, but Noah Whittington can run the ball at Oregon. I mentioned Singleton. I mentioned Katron Allen. They got great tight ends. Tyler Warren. Terrence Ferguson would be the second best tight end in the Big Ten this year for me. You're also talking about a defense that is stingy on both sides of the ball. Like, if you look at the comparison, it's right there, man. We're talking about 2 teams that average 35 and 33 points per game, respectively. 2 teams that allow just 16 and 14 points, respectively. And 2 teams that put up 448 yards, 442 yards, respectively. Like, I'm listing Oregon ahead of Penn State when I say respectively. You're also talking about teams that can throw the ball, But that's where the edge is for Oregon. Dylan Gabriel is got like 99 awareness. If we're talking about EA Sports College Football 25, I think that's absolutely positively true in the game too. But he is one of the most cerebral quarterbacks in the sport, and he should be. He's in year 6. He's thrown for over 3,200 yards, but he hasn't really had to do that the last 3 games. They've been able to just put people down defensively and run the football on them. So his numbers haven't been that great. As a matter of fact, he hasn't really had to throw for more than 218 yards since going for 294 in their win against Michigan, one of those two. I forget which one, but I think he went for 290 plus against both of those programs when Oregon played them. I'm also looking at an Oregon team that I think is ready for the challenge of running the table, right? So I think it's an Oregon team that a couple years ago when they were in the Mario Cristobal, they looked like the closer they got to the sun, the more that the glue in their wings was about to, melt and they were going to fall down. Dan Lanning doesn't give you that feeling anymore. As a matter of fact, if you're Oregon, you want Georgia to beat Texas so that you get an opportunity to guarantee play Georgia because of what you suffered when Bo Nix, quarterback a couple years ago. They got absolutely embarrassed in Atlanta, 49-3, and they built from there. And it's been about getting to this place. They've got all that money coming in from Phil Knight, and they were able to do something with it, right? Dan Lanning is unafraid to go for it on 4th down. He's going to call a trick play. He's going to try to bend, cross, claw, scratch, whatever he's got to do to win the football game. There is nothing that he won't do within the rules to try to go get a victory, and he's challenging his staff week in and week out to find him an edge. Tosh Lupoi is his Broyles Award finalist, but I think Will Stein should have been his Broyles Award finalist because of what Will Stein has meant to that offense with Bo Nix last year, with Dylan Gabriel this year. The offense has not missed a beat, and I think that's got everything to do with who the offensive coordinator is. For those of you that don't know, I'm a Broyles Award voter. There aren't that many of us, but we only get to vote on the assistants that the head coach nominates. So I can't, for instance, go vote for Will Stein. I would have to vote for Tosh Lupoi if that's who my vote was going to go to. And there's, I could see that. Like I said, that defense has been stingy, but also Dan Lanning being a defensive coach, having a lot to say about what Tosh is doing, you're going to understand that perhaps we're looking over there at the guy that he leaves his hands off of, and we're saying maybe that's the better coordinator. Also, what's scary about that Oregon offense is they're really good on 3rd down. They are converting 49% of the time. It's not that Penn State is that much dissimilar. They're converting 47% of the time. It's just I trust Dylan Gabriel to go get me 3rd and long conversions more than I trust Drew Aller to go get me 3rd and long conversions. I'm also really fascinated with the makeup of the 2 head coaches here. James Franklin, who wants to be buttoned down, who wants to run the football, but also has a way about him that says we're going to not lose a game as opposed to go out and win one. I think of him as conservative in his approach. I think of him as wanting to not take risk while also employing an offensive coordinator, Andy Kotelnicki, who basically made his money working for Lance Leipold at Kansas and at UW-Whitewater taking risk. Like, he wanted an explosive offense, and that's why he went to get Andy Kotelnicki from Kansas, and it's working to some degree. But when it doesn't, it feels like they're getting a little too cute. That's when you can see perhaps a James Franklin going, run the football. No, just line up and run the football. I understand why he would want to do that, because if you think you've got the kind of defense that they do, and Tom Allen's been doing one hell of a job, another guy that I think could be up for the Broyles Award as well, you probably just want to stay out of the defense's way. What I think is going to gall them to no end is still knowing that offense could not score on Ohio State. Then Ohio State, at the time, one of the best defenses in the country. Oregon, I think, is just as good. But if we're talking about going to score, we trust Oregon to go score more than we trust Penn State to go score. We trust Penn State to win a low-scoring ball game, though. I just don't see a low-scoring ball game being the way that this goes for them. What's your matchup for Tyler Warren? And then what's your matchup for Trey Wallace, right? Those are questions that I have for Oregon. I'm sure they're going to have some answers dialed up. I'm sure they're going to have some things they want to try. But getting Tez Johnson back on the outside is going to force Tom Allen to go into his bag, right? They've got dudes. Trayshawn Holden is another guy on that outside. Evan Stewart can take top off your defense. They got guys that I think everybody else would love to have, and that's how you build a team that is capable of winning the Big Ten championship in their first year in the Big Ten. I mentioned Jordan James is getting, most of the carries here. He's got 206 for 1166, but they've got 5 guys with 490 receiving yards or more and 3 with 550 or more. Tez Johnson, of course, didn't play a couple of games, and he's still got 67 catches, 685 yards, 9 TDs. Evan Stewart, 48 catches, 613 yards, and 5 TDs. And I mentioned Trayshawn Holden, who needs to keep his head on straight because he was spitting in the face of Denzel Burke, and that got him ejected. I'm sure it got him more than that when we're talking about how Dan Lanning felt about it after he saw what had occurred and taking one of your better players off the football field because, well, he decided he was going to be stupid that one time. That's not what you want. That's not what you want. You're going to have to get that dude under control, and you're going to have to ask him to play within himself in this neutral environment that I expect is going to be filled with Penn Staters because having been to Lucas Oil for a couple of Big Ten championship games, it's a tin can. You can't hear anything in that place. So that means Oregon is also going to feel right at home because that's Autzen for them. It goes straight up. There's only 60,000 people there, but you can create a lot of noise in that place because the acoustics are built for such a thing. One way to try to keep a handle on that, take the ball away, have people sit down somewhere. Hey, we got the ball. Be quiet. I'm also looking around and I'm going, I didn't expect that the tight end for Penn State, of all places, would be the guy that leads both teams in catches with 81. Like, I keep going back to Tyler Warren because I think a lot of what they're going to do is going to be built around him. They love to run a little bit of Wildcat with him. They also love to run that sort of T formation with him. I also think we might see some Bo Pribula, right? Who's a better running threat than Drew Aller. For Aller, again, stay within yourself. Don't overdo it. Play within the offense. I think you're going to be fine. I don't know that you need a 300-yard passing game from Drew Aller to beat Oregon, but it wouldn't hurt nobody's feelings. I think it's more like you're going to need to rush for about 200, 250 to put this one away. You're going to need to keep the ball out of the hands of an Oregon team that can go fast and is very, very efficient, scarily efficient moving the football. Jalen Reed also is a dude that you're just going to stay away from if you're Oregon. He has 3 interceptions this year, 1 return for a touchdown. He's got 3 passes defended. He's got 2 sacks. Been playing outstanding football. He's just been filthy, man. And then, your edge rushers. Losing Kevin Winston is not going to be helpful to them, but Abdul Carter having 10 sacks this year. My God, dude, that's ridiculous. They've got guys that can get after the quarterback, and Dylan Gabriel better be able to move around back there. When we do the predictions a little bit later this week, I'll probably get into why I think one way or the other. But for now, know that the spread is 3.5. Expected to grow just a little bit more. Big Ten teams traveling across 2 time zones have not been doing great this year. That's going to be Oregon this time and not Penn State. Wonder how that might fit them. Wonder how they're going to adjust their travel schedule to get used to being on Eastern Standard Time in Indianapolis, which even for me, who lives in Central Standard Time, that's still a leap. Like, that hour just kills me. I'm always going, my God, is it really 6 a.m.? I feel like my body's saying that the sun should not be up, and yet it's staring me straight in the eyes. We'll see how that affects them going forward. Penn State, they've been here. They know what it looks like. They know how to prepare for it. They know what this environment is. I think that's going to help them tremendously. Again, it's all right there in front of you, Penn State. It's right there. All you got to do is go take it. But I can guarantee you this. Dan Lanning will have his team ready to go. And they are ready to run behind that dude. They are ready to do whatever that guy asked them to do. So when you see that pin in his long sleeve shirt, and you see him get that Chucky grin on, and you see him expecting to go for it on 4th and 7 from his own 17-yard line or something wild and crazy like that, know that, hey, I asked you to prepare for this moment. Okay? Be prepared for this moment. And if you're Oregon, know that Penn State wants your head. They believe that you are an interloper, which is funny because, Penn State's been operating like an independent inside the Big Ten since joining it. But they're going to look at you and say, we're the old money. You're the new money. Wait your turn. It's ours now. You play in our league now. I'm going to go, okay, well, we beat Ohio State. What'd y'all do? Settle it. Settle it right here, right now, on Saturday. Can't wait to see who wins this game. Can't wait to see who can come out and play.